My name is Dr. Elliot Rains. I worked at NASA for over 2 decades, 15 of those years with the Deep Space Observation Division. I wasn't just a name on a spreadsheet. I was one of the few people trusted with direct access to Hubble's raw data feed. I've seen beautiful things. Dying stars painting nebulae in colors you wouldn't believe. Galaxies colliding in silent, elegant destruction. But nothing prepared me for what we found in January 2024. We weren't looking for anything in particular. A student intern named Hazel had requested time to analyze an obscure region of space near Cygnus X1. It was just routine, some patch of background radiation anomalies that hadn't been cataloged properly. It wasn't unusual for interns to be given harmless assignments like this. But what we found, it should have stayed buried in the dark. The first anomaly appeared in the infrared imaging data, a sharp, defined shape against the black. Perfect angles. Straight lines. It wasn't natural. Hazel thought it was a glitch. I thought it might be a lens flare or data corruption. But the more we looked, the more details emerged. We adjusted the telescope's orientation, narrowed the scan, and ran the signal through multiple spectral filters. The image sharpened. It was massive. A structure. No, a megastructure. Hundreds of kilometers wide, suspended in space with no orbit around any star or planet. Its surface was dark, blacker than the void. It didn't reflect light, it absorbed it. And at its center, there was something glowing. I remember the exact moment Hazel turned to me, pale as a sheet. Dr. Rains, it's watching us. Protocols kicked in fast. Within hours, our access to the Hubble live feed was revoked. Hazel's clearance was removed, and she was escorted out of the building by security. I tried to push back, demanded to know what was happening, but my phone was taken, my emails locked, and I was summoned to a debrief. That's when I met Director Shaw, a man whose name wasn't on any public NASA document. He wore a black suit, had a voice like gravel, and eyes that didn't blink nearly enough. Dr. Rains, he said, you've seen something you weren't meant to see. I told him I had clearance. He told me I didn't anymore. Then he showed me a folder. Dozens of photographs. Not just from Hubble, but from the James Webb Telescope, from old Voyager transmissions, even what looked like satellite imagery from classified military tech. The same shape. The same megastructure. Over and over, spanning decades. This object has been observed multiple times, Shaw explained. But its position, it changes. It's not drifting. It's repositioning. I stared at him. He leaned forward. We believe it's intelligent. They didn't let me go home. I was moved to a secure facility in Nevada, deep beneath the desert. I was told I was being retained for asset integrity and that my help was needed to analyze the pattern of movements the object had made. What they showed me next broke my mind. The positions the megastructure had taken over the decades weren't random. When plotted on a star map, they formed symbols, ancient, repeating patterns similar to ones found in Sumerian ruins, and crop circles. It's speaking, said one of the linguists assigned to the case. Or at least, it's broadcasting. We traced the pattern and realized something horrifying. Its movements were heading inward, toward Earth. Not fast. Not in a straight line. But like it was spiraling in, watching, waiting. Shaw approached me again with a question I wasn't ready to answer. What if this structure isn't a machine, but a sentient being? A week later, Hubble's last encrypted relay brought in a new dataset, something not visual, but auditory. A repeating tone, buried in background radiation. A low hum, repeating at irregular intervals. We isolated it. Analyzed it. It wasn't just a sound. It was a code. Pulses. Binary. Structured. We decoded the signal. It was a message. We see you. We tried to send nothing back. But even that didn't matter. The mere act of observing it, of looking at it, had been enough. It had noticed. I hadn't seen Hazel since she was removed from the lab. But then, one night, 3:04 a.m. exactly, she showed up in my temporary quarters. But something was wrong. She was quiet. Pale. And her eyes, they didn't reflect light correctly anymore. "I know what it is," she whispered. I asked what she meant. "It's not a ship. It's not watching us. We're inside it. We've always been." And then she smiled. Wide. Too wide. And she said something I'll never forget. "We're the experiment. And it's almost done watching." After Hazel left, or whatever was pretending to be her, I went straight to Shaw. I demanded answers. I expected him to threaten me again. Instead, he sighed, like he had been waiting for this. He took me down a level deeper in the facility, into what they called the archive. A circular room lined with locked cabinets, old hard drives, reels of magnetic tape, even stone tablets. "This is everything we've collected about the object since 1971, he said. "Before Hubble. Before Webb. This thing, it predates modern space observation." He handed me a reel. It was labeled Echo 7 STS-48 mission. I recognized that name. A space shuttle mission from the early 90s. "They recorded it by accident," Shaw continued. "The astronauts were debriefed, the footage was altered, but some of it still leaked. You might have seen it on YouTube once, called a UFO sighting. But it was more than that. The shuttle caught part of the object as it moved. Fast. Precise. Intelligent." I asked the obvious question, why keep it secret? He stared at me. "Because the moment the world knows it's out there, it knows we've told everyone. It started with nosebleeds. Then insomnia. Then the dreams came. Everyone in the facility started having them. Same dream, every night. We were floating in blackness. No stars. No Earth. Just the cold presence of something huge in the dark. And a sound, like metal groaning underwater. We dreamed we were being dissected. Hazel's face appeared in every dream. But her mouth didn't move. The voice came from all directions. The eye is open. Observation complete." I couldn't tell if the dream was implanted, or a side effect of being near the archive. Some researchers started mumbling to themselves during the day. One broke down screaming that his reflection blinked without him. We stopped looking at mirrors. We stopped trusting our own thoughts. Then it got worse. Another signal came through. Not from the same object, but a second one. Identical in shape, but darker, colder. It had appeared suddenly near Saturn's orbit. As if it had just entered our space. Except, the timestamps told a different story. This structure had been there since 1983. It had simply hidden itself. We realized something horrifying. There wasn't just one structure watching us. There were at least two. Maybe more. One observes. The other waits. The debate started. Should we tell the public? Shaw said no. He believed awareness itself was the trigger. That the object's attention was like a virus, it spread by being known. But a rogue group inside NASA disagreed. They thought the world had the right to know. They planned to leak the data to the internet, the images, the symbols, even the signal recordings. They uploaded it to a server and set a timed release. We never found out if it worked. That night, Every single one of them vanished. No struggle. No alarms. Just gone. Only one thing was left behind in their locked lab, a single phrase scratched into the wall. You were not meant to look back. Weeks passed. The second object began moving. Unlike the first, which drifted slowly, this one approached the outer solar system rapidly. It passed Neptune without stopping. Satellites started malfunctioning. Radio towers worldwide picked up distorted voices and static. Not human voices. Not even alien, really. Just wrong. We noticed a pattern. Every time the object moved closer, more people went missing. Not just NASA staff. Regular people. Astronomers. Deep web researchers. Amateur stargazers who happened to point their telescope the wrong way. One by one, they disappeared. But their devices stayed on. Recording. Broadcasting. Like they had become part of the network. Hazel returned again. This time she didn't knock. She appeared in my room at 2:07 a.m. Dr. Rains, she said in a voice not her own, you have been chosen to see the door. I followed her. We went deep underground, past the archive, past security checkpoints that weren't on any blueprint. We reached a chamber that hummed with low vibration. There was a gate there, an oval ring of unknown material floating inches off the ground. Light pulsed inside it. Not normal light. It hurt to look at. I saw stars within it. Or maybe I saw myself. Not in the present, but across infinite versions. Hazel touched the edge. This is how it travels. Not through space. Through minds. Through memory. Through observation. And then she whispered, it's not coming. It's already here. I didn't sleep for days after I saw the door. Shaw refused to speak to me anymore. Whatever I had seen, whatever Hazel, it, had shown me, changed my clearance level. I was now labeled a level black containment asset. One of the scientists who worked in the archive, a woman named Dr. Lana Marek, pulled me aside in the cafeteria. Her eyes darted around like she was being watched, which, to be honest, we probably were. I read your file, she whispered. You saw the door? I saw it too. She passed me a folder. Inside was a satellite photo. Desert. Somewhere in western Egypt. Zoomed in, it revealed something chilling. A city, geometric, perfect, alien. Buried beneath the sand. It matched the megastructure's shape exactly. I think it landed once before, Lana said. Thousands of years ago. And we've been building our civilizations on its blueprint ever since. I asked how she found this. She only said, we didn't find it. It found us. The name came up over and over in restricted documents, Project Red Sky. I finally got access thanks to Lana. She gave me a physical key, yes, a real one, hand-carved and coated with biometric sensors. It unlocked a filing room far below the facility. Inside were documents going back to the 1940s. Project Red Sky was a top-secret U.S. operation launched after strange readings were picked up during atomic bomb tests. Radiation patterns had drawn the first object's attention. The data showed that after the Hiroshima and Nagasaki detonations, the structure briefly changed its orientation to face Earth directly. We weren't testing weapons. We were poking a sleeping god. And it blinked. Not everyone inside the facility had lost their mind. Some had adapted. They were called the Remembered. Staff members who had direct psychic contact with the megastructures and remained sane. At least, on the surface. They could quote languages they'd never studied. They saw parts of the sky no telescope could detect. And they kept drawing circles. Concentric rings. Everywhere. One of them told me something I've never forgotten. It didn't come from space, Dr. Rains. It comes from outside time. It watches stars like we watch candles. It waits for them to go out. When your son dies, it will harvest what's left of you. Then he laughed. Not because it was funny, but because he said we were already dead. We just didn't know it yet. And then, one day, the Hubble telescope came back online. Not officially. Just for 3 minutes. A technician in Hawaii, working off an independent system, managed to intercept a burst of data. The image. I still see it when I blink. A close-up of the megastructure. Only it was open. Panels moved like petals on a flower, revealing a core that pulsed like a heartbeat. Inside was a face, shifting, ever-changing, composed of thousands of eyes, mouths, expressions. Alien. Human. Everything in between. And then came the broadcast. Not a warning. Not a threat. Just 4 words, etched into the waveform. We remember your son. After that image, the shutdown began. Not of the feed. Of us. One by one, everyone who saw the intercepted image began forgetting. Names. Dates. Families. Even how to speak. It wasn't sickness. It wasn't trauma. It was extraction. The structure wasn't just observing. It was collecting. And I had a horrible thought. What if Earth wasn't just a planet to them? What if it was a seed? What if our thoughts, our cultures, our ideas, were all just harvestable data? And when enough had been gathered, the experiment would end. The door would close. And Earth would be erased from memory, forever. I'm recording this now, not for NASA. Not for Shaw. Not even for Hazel, if she still exists. I'm recording it because I know I won't remember tomorrow. The dreams are getting stronger. I can't tell when I'm awake anymore. I saw my reflection today and it blinked out of sync with me. I think I'm becoming one of them. If you're hearing this, if this recording ever makes it out, remember this. The Hubble didn't just take a photo. It rang the bell on the door. And now something is opening it. Do not look up. Do not search the coordinates I've hidden in this file. Forget everything. Or it will find you too. After the feed interruption, it started globally. First, it was small. Cities reporting entire minutes disappearing from digital clocks. Flights reappearing after already having landed. People remembering events that never happened. But the worst were the mass dreams. Every continent. Every language. Millions of people reported waking up at the same exact moment, all screaming the same phrase. The sky has no face. And then, it got worse. The moon blinked. Satellites caught it. One frame, gone. Next frame, back again. But something on its surface was different. A new crater. A perfect hexagon. And in its center, a glowing eye. We thought time was breaking. But it wasn't. The sun started repeating. Not literally, but behaviorally. Flares and sunspots followed identical patterns for days at a time. Like someone had pressed rewind on the universe. NASA told the public it was solar synchronization. But internally, the truth circulated fast. The sun wasn't repeating. We were. A loop. A soft reset. The megastructure was testing us. Watching how we responded to the same conditions again, and again, and again. Measuring our consistency. Measuring our breakpoints. How long would it take before we noticed? And more importantly, would we remain sane? Then came the last message. It didn't arrive via telescope or radio. It came through dreams. Clear. Unified. Every person who had ever seen even a single image of the structure, no matter how briefly, dreamed the same dream. They stood at the edge of space. No suit. No body. Just presence. In front of them was the structure. Open. Massive. Alive. And it spoke, not in words, but in meaning. The dream translated it for us. You have reached observation threshold. Harvest complete. Existence will fold. Thank you for your patterns. And then silence. For all of us. No more dreams. Just the growing sense that something had changed. The world didn't end with fire. Or war. Or invasion. It ended with forgetting. People began losing concepts. First, colors. Then numbers. Then names. One by one, parts of human consciousness began vanishing. We didn't notice it happening because the very tools we used to notice were also disappearing. I woke up one morning and couldn't remember what a Monday was. Language began collapsing. Society didn't panic. It simply paused. As if the program had reached its final instruction. And we were waiting for the next command. But a few of us remained aware. The remembered. Or rather, the leftovers. People whose memories had somehow resisted the fold. We gathered underground. Shared what we could recall. Drew symbols on walls. Tried to preserve something, anything, of who we had been. That's when Lana returned. She had disappeared weeks ago. But now she glowed faintly. Like starlight trapped in a jar. I went through the door, she said softly. And I came back with something. She held out her hand. And it was a sphere, perfect, humming. She called it the memory core. It's everything we were. All of humanity. All of Earth's thoughts. Trapped. Saved. Carried. I asked her where she went. She said only one word. Before. So, what now? The world is empty. Silent. Most of the population is gone, absorbed or erased. The sky no longer holds stars, just static. The sun flickers like an old bulb. But I remember. And you, if you're hearing this, you remember too. Which means maybe, just maybe, we aren't finished. Maybe the observation was only phase 1. And now the experiment is changing. Because something new is forming inside the structure. A voice. One I've never heard before. And it's not speaking in commands. It's asking a question. Over and over. To anyone left who can understand. Do you want to begin? I said yes. And now I see it. Not the Earth. Not the stars. But the blueprint. Lines of potential. Versions of us, worlds we could be, choices we could make, paths we never walked. We were never the center of the universe. We were just a question. And the megastructure. It was waiting for an answer. Now that it has one. It's building something new. Not a copy. Not a simulation. But a second chance. So if you hear my voice, if this message reached you, know this. You are the seed. And the sky is not watching anymore, it's listening.